I'm a woman, you're a man, doesn't mean that you're superior to me.
Right.
Okay. In the home, I know my place based on the way God has ordained it. Okay. Submit to your husband. When I'm in the workplace, a man is not superior to me because he's biologically different from me. No, you can't, it doesn't apply. It does not, it should not apply. You're
Right.
doing your work, I'm doing my work.
Pan African Review is a platform that challenges assumptions about Africa and a space for introspective perspectives on matters of concern to Africans.
Hello and welcome to the Pan African Review podcast. This is your online spot for African discourse. I'm your host, Mahatma Ulimwengu, and today we have a great show for you. Our guest today is Dr. Chidinma Okolo. She's a Nigerian trained scientist, and she's currently aiding the delivery of world-class science in the National Science Facility in the United Kingdom. And for the Pan African Review, she wrote an article just the other day titled, "In the Quest for Liberation, the African Woman Was Left Behind." It says here, a woman's relevance in society will not be tied to her marital status, age, or the number of children she has. This has never been the yardstick to measure men's relevance. It should not be the metric for success for women either. So, fascinating conversation ahead. So, guys, if you like this, please like, share, subscribe, send this to your family and friends, and we will be back with Dr. Chidinma Okolo. Thank you very much for setting out some time for this.
Thank you for having me.
You open in your article stating that, quote, being an African woman entails swimming against the tide, politically, economically, and socially. So could you just elaborate on the unique difficulties faced by African women that non-African women, maybe in the Western world, might not be cognizant of?
Yeah, I think this is really a good question to start up the podcast with, like, why? I mean, there are challenges everywhere, right?
Right.
Women face this. So why would I say, oh, Africa is unique?
Hmm.
Um, so I feel this is my own personal feeling that culture, which is the way people decide to choose and act, like it's a choice of how to act. I'm not talking about tradition, but there's this position where women have been placed as afterthoughts. Okay, you're not really the main focus, you're not really the main thought, you're just an after effect, like someone in the background.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so and the funny thing is when this belief has been pushed for a very long time, even the women believe it. Like, you begin to believe that you're supposed to cower, you're supposed to not talk a certain way just because you're a woman. So when culture has made it, or when it has even been handed over to you, you begin to believe it. Okay, maybe this is how I'm supposed to do. If I don't do this way, I won't flourish as a woman, right? So
Right. Yeah.
I'm not, I love, I'm Igbo, and I love I love, like, I love my traditions, I love my culture, but I feel like culture was made, how do you put it now? What's this saying now? Culture was made for the people and not the other way around. But I feel like, yes, there are so many aspects of it that I cherish, the family values and all. But with time, we need to, as a people, on our own terms, change things in a way that everybody who makes up that, who is part of that culture, feels welcomed, feel accepted, feels seen, every single person that makes up that. Because I feel like this challenge, there is more of a place of liberation. There is much more to do for us in Africa,
Do you think,
Nigeria, wherever.
yeah, I was going to ask, do you think Africans, we are just uniquely still pretty much stuck behind? Because obviously there is a global movement for, pushing for first feminine empowerment, women in the workforce, in corporate structures and all that. Do you
Yeah.
think in Africa we are just falling behind? What's your take on our progress on this in this regard?
My take is that probably some part of Africa, or maybe a huge proportion of us, we've not come to reality of the modern day economics.
Right.
Unless you're like a billionaire or something, you need two income earners. This is not always the case. I acknowledge that in some families, which is why I don't feel it's anybody's place to prescribe what should be done. Like, you can't prescribe that two people work in a household or one. It's not your place. But I feel like the reality staring us is that, first of all, the economic landscape has changed. Two people probably need to work in so many households. Even if that is not the case, I think women should be able to say, yes, I want to I want to take my place in the professional setting. My place should not be limited to just the house. So I want to have that representation. Okay. So I think that we're still yet to come to many people are yet to come to terms with the reality of the changing economic landscape. And even if they know, some of them are still living in denial,
Right.
where the whole burden of economic like provision. Okay, let me not speak for all parts of Africa. I'll speak for where I'm familiar with, probably Nigeria. Most times you just leave it for the man, and then the woman is ideally supposed to just run the home. Well, even health-wise, this is not even healthy. I don't want one person in my house to feel the burden of everything about like running like financially or economically. I think it's so much burden on the man.
Right.
If a woman is able to help, just let her. Not help, but equally contribute and make life easier for you
Right.
without even going into statistics of death rate, mortality, who lives longer or not.
Right.
I think the answers are there. Sometimes women tend to outlive the men. You're
Right.
carrying so much on your shoulder. What's there to prove? The rest of the world has allowed women to take their place. Okay, they get relevance, they progress, and also they help out, like they bear the burden. So that shift is there. It's coming in. Some men are still resisting it. Some people are saying, oh, women when they do well, they'll in Nigeria say they will shine their eyes, they will do this, they will not be submissive and all. I don't think it's
Right.
true. There's so many high-flying women there who still submit in their homes. So what's the fear? Like, why are people afraid? Why not give her that liberty and see maybe she surprises you? I mean, yeah, that's the fact. The fact that I'm even saying why not give her that liberty is even worrisome because
Right.
a woman needs to be asked to give liberty to, yeah, so many things to unpack there. I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, on that note, you are obviously you're a business financial analyst, you're a scientist too. So like you have a very unique perspective in terms of the African woman experience, for the majority of the continent, I would say. So what would you say are the day-to-day challenges that African professional women in the workforce face? And what's your advice for any young women coming up in competitive corporate or professional environments to help them deal with the myriad of challenges that they'll face?
Yeah. So for me, for me, my journey has been studying life sciences up to PhD level, combining life sciences with physics, physical sciences, working as a scientist in a national setting, and
Right.
even up to now trying to navigate this terrain of, oh yes, I love science is my passion, but I also love business, I love finances. How do I bring this together and I want like this, it's like liberation. Okay, you can do this and you love this. How do you make so occupying that, like blending for that advocate of science, business, and finance, and also public engagement. So for me, it's been a lot of support from my spouse, from people around me has gone into like trying to navigate this path for me. Unfortunately, it's not the same for women. I would even, so for some women, I would like to even go backwards and say, do you know that like for some people or for many people they feel that life does not start for you until you are married. So a woman cannot be high flying, like legit. Some people believe that you shouldn't even own a car if you're not married. You shouldn't even buy a house if you're not married. Like life is on pause, like it's
Right.
paused until you find a spouse.
Mm.
Quite frankly, I would say that even though this does not only apply to women, frankly, I think even for some men, some of them might not want to do this, do that until they get married. So I'll give that kudos that this limitation is not only faced by women, but I feel it's more emphasized. It's like it's blown out of proportion for women. So you see a case of a woman approaching her 30s in Africa, she's held, something is holding her back. She doesn't want to be high because she's waiting for that moment, like my life does not start until I'm married.
Right.
This has been consciously and subconsciously built into us. So in the professional setting, what happens to a woman if she's in her 30s, 40s, and she's not married? Should this define your place in the society? Should the number of children you have? I'm married, I have children. But you have when you're advocating for an equal word or a fair word, you have to sometimes be empathetic. Put yourself in everyone's shoes, okay? If this was not the case for me, would I want to be held back in society? Would I not want to be like a good scientist, someone who is blending science? Would I want that phase of life, which would happen or may not happen, whatever, do I want it to determine my potential in life? So this is what, first of all, the professional setting in Nigeria, and by extension, I think some African countries, that's marital status. It's a huge ticker. It's a huge one because even the way you are addressed in the workplace, for instance, in Nigeria, when you're talking to someone, be like, oh, take it easy, oh, she's a married woman, don't talk to her like that. What? You should not talk to anyone. Everyone should be treated with respect, irrespective of their marital status, whether she's a
Right.
single woman, whether she's young, whether she's old. Every human being, young, old, should be treated with respect. So there's so many complications to navigate. I always say something. So during the last election, it was in Nigeria, it was really, it was a hotly contested one. I always say something when I look at my life when I was in Nigeria.
Right.
There's something I always say. To be a woman, to be young in Nigeria, to be from Igbo, I'm Igbo, and then a Christian, it's as though I ticked all the boxes for persecution. Like I belong to all the marginalized groups. You're a woman, you're a Christian, you're Igbo, and then you're young. Oh my God, when do you get to flourish? So many, even to apply for jobs in Nigeria, age is still a big thing. Oh, must not be above 25 years. Why do you need that in society? So many things to, it's not even just the fight for like women empowerment or equality and equity. We're talking about even age discrimination, so many things to unbox. And I think we need to leave some of those things behind.
Right. Yeah. And I think you, on that note also, because obviously we're talking about the difficulties that women might face in the workforce due to these external circumstances and culture, upbringing, family, and things of that nature. But also there are these, biological, fundamental, desires between men and women. And for women, a lot of women want to start a family. They want to, and also want to pursue a career. So what would be your prescription? I know earlier you said you can't prescribe anything, but just in this regard, hypothetically, what would be your prescription for African women in the workforce who seek to maintain a healthy work-life balance without
Yeah.
burning out? I know in your article you're talking about how even 6 months off for maternity
Yeah.
and postpartum, that could set you back career-wise. So what's your
Yeah.
hypothetical prescription for anybody trying to balance out that corporate atmosphere and the
Yeah.
family life?
So for me, I would like to say some things which would tie into this answer. A lot to unpack here. So for
Right.
instance, you see a woman who shatters a glass ceiling. Oh, she did this despite the fact that she had 5 children. That's amazing. Like you were able to break this glass ceiling despite the fact that you have 2 children or one child, or like that's good. But the fact that we're still talking about that in Africa, I think is worrisome. Because
Yeah.
what this means is that when a man succeeds, you never say, which is why it's good to discuss these things in person so that there'll be more life will be thrown into the article and it may not be misunderstood. We're not saying that women should not be relevant because they have children. Having children is, I support family life. Like family life, family for me, I would give up my work, my career in a heartbeat for family. This is my own personal belief, like based on my
I think
values
most
and
women would, what most women want,
yeah.
that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is not nature. Even nature wants you to be more like you're a
Right.
woman, like nature, that instinct, the maternal, it's all there. You can't deny it because you want to be a career. Yes, you can balance the two of them. Like I said, for me, without even batting an eyelid, I'll choose my children, my family over work 100 times. I've done it and I'm still doing it. So because I believe in work-life balance, okay? My children should not suffer because I want to, attain that height. The two of them should not suffer work and professional life. If anyone must suffer, for me, my own preference, the professional life to suffer. These children, for me, it's a commitment for me, like something I believe God handed over to you to look after it. So for me, my own priorities are very different. Even at that, I'll still give my best professionally, okay?
Right.
So, like I said, when a woman is successful, they say, oh, despite the fact that she had 3 children or this, that's good to acknowledge that women they've swum against the tides, they've come a long way, like they've kind of like wrestled against a lot to be able to shatter that glass ceiling. But again, when men do that, when men are successful, we never say, despite the fact that this man had 5 children, he is a billionaire or him. No. So that buttresses the fact to me that the bulk of the work in the family, in raising those children, so women would conceive, nurture the child like in the womb, give birth, take time off work. You have one child, you take 6 months or 1 year or 3 months off. You take another 1 year off, 3, 4, 5 children. So I understand what people mean when they say, despite the fact that you had 6 children or 5 children, it means that you went on 5 maternity leaves. One maternity leave sometimes is alone is enough to like take you, like derail your course, because you have to give birth to that child, be there for that child, nurture, take time off, and people will still blame you for going back to work. So you do your best, you go back to work. Now you have to catch up. Yes, you were being paid when you're maternity leave. For some people, that's fantastic. That's a lot of progress from where we are coming from. But remember, 6 months has passed and you did not do anything. 1 year has passed and you were left behind. I'm in the academic environment and research. It means that probably for 1 year, I've not done any research. I've not published any work. I've not supervised any students. You cannot neglect that time that has passed. So as a woman, how do you make up?
Yeah.
So you're wrestling against a lot. How do
Right.
you make up? How do you beat? How do you make up for this time? Okay. So
Yeah.
I'll give my tips at the end. And you also see some people who, like, because in Nigeria, Africa, they attribute, if you see a successful woman who is beautiful, and all, you see people attributing her success to her looks. Oh, maybe
That's
she
very
slept
true.
her way
Yeah.
to the top.
Mm.
One, as we're speaking, one of them is recently happening with the appointment of a certain CEO to a bank in Nigeria. One is recently, like, they are like dragging her on the internet. She slept her way to the top. This is someone who has more than 3 bachelors, more than 2 masters, so many certifications from Harvard, Columbia. What else did she need to do? In fact, before she even stepped into that role, she was even like at the top of that role, like just maybe third in command or second. So what did she have to prove to you that she merited getting to that point? So the tide is not in our favor.
Yeah.
Somehow, I would say life has been rigged against us, because we have to do so much more to even get to the point of beginning to compete in the
Right.
professional environment. Okay. One of the things I've noticed is that these people are lifelong learners. They are committed to learning those certifications, those degrees. They go all the way out. Every opportunity, they leverage it to keep upskilling themselves and improving their knowledge. So,
Right.
and sometimes they don't even do it in one discipline. I've noticed this where people do like this. It's not about spreading out, but they get knowledge from different places and they find a way to make it work and define a niche for themselves. So you will see someone doing a combination of engineering and business administration.
Right.
You would see someone doing a combination of law and neuroscience,
Yeah.
combination of medicine and finance with business, science and mass communication, so science communication. So I've noticed this trend of blending disciplines, law and sociology with maybe accounting, science and finance. Yeah, for if you want to go from, okay, I don't want to spend so much time as a woman. I don't want to just be in the lab all the days of my life. I don't want to keep doing the groundwork. How do I, with these things that are against me, how do I climb this faster? You need to start thinking, how do I upskill myself? How do I make myself to possess so much more value than like my bachelor's or my basic training? So it's not just advancing your degree and doing a master's and doing a PhD. It's not just that. I'm talking about strategically getting knowledge and experience in areas that you were not previously exposed to. This is
Right.
like having double leverage and finding a way to not just doing this and change, not necessarily changing careers. So many people change careers like pivot and they do well, but I'm talking about getting this and forming a whole new discipline in a domain which other people might end up copying or be audacious enough to, okay, I can do this. I want to combine this public health with pharmacy. Like there's so many things that can be combined and you still use the knowledge of the other one to leverage and keep climbing that ladder.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you something about if I wanted to quote you your subheadline here, and I think you touched up on this. I'm just going to say you wrote, quote, "A woman's relevance in society will not be tied to her marital status, age, or the number of children she has. This has never been the yardstick to measure men's relevance. It should not be the metric for success for women either." And you mentioned about a couple of minutes ago about all these obstacles that women face, especially in the
Yeah.
workforce. One of them is obviously, and you touched upon it in your article, the backlash that you will never inevitably get, especially from Africa, where, as you mentioned, we are more sort of traditional, especially when it comes to men and women roles. So do you fear that speaking this aggressively, for like an African audience, do you feel that the backlash might pit women against men and actually make it in turn? Because at the end of the day, if you're talking about like corporate structures, I'm not sure about the setups in Nigeria, obviously, but for a
Yeah.
lot of African countries, it is predominantly male. And do you think this type of rhetoric might actually antagonize those powerful men that at the end of the day might have to succeed some ground?
Yeah, I know how how audacious it is to write that in an article. So but it's true. Like not everybody is going to get married. Not everybody is going to remain married. Some people are married and they don't have children.
Right,
They can't, maybe biological reasons. Are you going to tell me that their relevance in the society is going to be tied by some things that are out of their that are out of their control? So this is where I wrote that line from. Like it's good to understand my reasoning for writing that. So I don't think people's relevance in the society should be tied by marital status, age, or the number of children they have, because some people are young. You can't control the fact that you're young. You are young, you are young. You can't control the fact that you're unable to give birth. Should your relevance in society be tied to that? No. So this is where it's not about saying that the family values are centered to my heart, as much as, and some women will decide that, oh, the corporate life is probably not for me. I want to stay and run my home, and I would give a thumbs up to that. It's your choice to make, and you've made it, and that's
right,
very good. And probably their own relevance will come from, oh, I'm going to commit my life to raising these children. Probably if you're a Christian or whatever faith, to be godly, that's what you want to, and that's very good. It boils down to choice. But in the society, in the professional setting, which is what I was referring to in this article,
right,
you shouldn't say, oh, she shouldn't be heard in a board meeting. Her opinion does not count. Her strategy or her insights don't count. How many children does she have? Oh, she's not married. You're still single. You're not under the control or you don't, so many things that are said about, oh, there's no man overseeing you. You can't. Are those things relevant in this economy? How does that affect the amount of money in my pocket? How does that affect the performance of the Apex? How does that of the Apex Bank? How does that affect, these things? They have no place in the professional setting. That's what I was trying to explain in that article. Some things are left in the home. When you come to professional setting, for instance, the fact that someone is biologically different from me, I'm a woman, you're a man, doesn't mean that you're superior to me.
right,
Okay. In the home, I know my place based on the way God has ordained it. Okay. Submit to your husband. When I'm in the workplace, a man is not superior to me because he's biologically different from me. No, you can't, it doesn't apply. It should not apply. You're
right,
doing your work, I'm doing my work. Probably you're my junior. You should take command, or you should take orders from whoever it is who is superior to you, irrespective of their, you should not
right.
undermine their authority to act in that capacity in the workplace because of them being a woman and you being a man. So that was the context of that
Okay.
write-up.
I just sorry on that note, do you this is I just thought of this as you were explaining it. Do you think it's a struggle for these corporate powerful executive managerial type women to compartmentalize their
Hmm.
do you think that's a struggle that some of your maybe colleagues or acquaintances might struggle with?
Um, it's not, we can't rule that out. People are built differently.
Right.
Myself, I'm not even perfect, so again, when it comes to the home, I feel it's understanding. You need to
Yeah.
understand how your home runs. You need to know what not to do, for that balance, and someone has to be in control in the home. So it's the man.
Yeah, in your article, on a more serious note, you cite a report by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, in which you reveal that in 2022, out of the over 48,000 women and girls killed worldwide by an intimate partner or other family members, about 20,000 of these deaths occurred in Africa. So, what is it about Africa, do you think, that leads to such domestic violence towards women?
Yeah. Again, is that feeling that these people are just objects? Who are they? They're just afterthoughts. Who cares about their existence? More so for many parts of where I come from, there's more emphasis on the male child, than the female child. When you give birth to a boy, you're happy, a girl. So maybe maybe if I say that the value on their lives are not the same, I may not even be wrong. But kudos to like the modern society, things are really, really changing. In the modern day, both like during birth, I think it's shifting towards the point of whether it's a boy or a girl, both are equally celebrated, and we've come a long way to get here. So I'll give kudos to this. So I think it stems from the way women are perceived, are seen as property, oh, you've paid for her bride price, she's your property, she's your wife, that ownership, and you can do with it as you want. So I think this is one of the reasons for the gender-based violence. And in addition to that, this culture of, oh, hush hush, don't say anything, so many people will say, oh, just don't say anything about your home, endure it. People that came before you endured it, and that's how many women have died in the hands of the abusers. So
Right.
that's how do you put it now? Secrecy, that culture of secrecy does us more harm than good. Should you go about saying everything that happens in your home? No. But I mean, when people's lives are in danger, I think there should be that safe place for them to speak up. In Nigeria, for instance, human rights, like they are very, very on top of this. I've had so many cases of domestic violence, some of them which I've helped to raise funds for and all. And I think we are beginning to, we are getting there. They're taking these things more seriously. When you go to the police, when you go to the human rights, they take these things now more seriously. But I mean, more work can be done.
Right, certainly. And just in closing here, in your article, you envision this future society where, quote, women will be afforded equal visibility, given similar
Yeah.
audience, and their relevance will not be belittled or hinged in any status other than the mere fact that they are excellent at what they do. So obviously, we're a
Yeah.
long way from seeing this reality, especially here
Oh
in
my
Africa.
God.
But
Yeah.
given our current context, circumstances in Africa, as you mentioned, the economic landscape where there has to be a sort of two incomes in the household for the most part. So how do you
Yeah.
propose we take the necessary steps towards this more equitable future?
Just I would say a lot of work has been done by so many NGOs in Africa as a whole, in Kenya, in Rwanda, everywhere. Education for girls, stopping female genital mutilation. We've had a lot of that done. Has all the work been done? No, there's still room for more. So I won't deny the fact that we've come a very long way, like 10 years ago. So we have to give kudos to those who have done all this work, but we can still do more. Your relevance, like I've said, should not be tied to any status, whether you're married or you're single it's just, are you good at your job? Yes. Do you deserve this position? Yes. That's it. Oh, when someone is speaking, oh, so who is she? No, is she saying the truth? Is what she's saying, does it have facts? Yes. Does anything else matter in terms of status? No. Can we
Right.
get to that point? Yes, we can. We can. And I would like to, maybe this is the closing, but I would like to also state here that sometimes when a certain group of people are marginalized, there is this resistance, okay? Like there's a resistance, you see them resisting, and at a point you might end up changing them to people who are probably somehow like bitter. You don't want women who are bitter, you don't want women who are always angry. Just afford them that equal visibility. And some people will say, oh, what are they pushing for this time around? We've done this and that. Yes, you've done a lot, but if the state of things is not the absolute best, a lot of men can do analysis, they can do this. The state of things, is it the absolute best? Is everyone performing like at their best? No. If there is not, then you can do more from your quarter.
Right.
Finally, we've been talking a lot about women empowerment and all, but let's not forget that the generation, like the future generation, there's going to be men and there's going to be women. So while we push a lot for women empowerment and all, let's not forget our boys, okay?
All right.
I have a boy, I have a girl. And in the world of tomorrow, I also don't want women to be more empowered than them. This is the danger of some of these advocacies that we do. Um, it's a danger because it can tilt out of balance. We are looking for a balance now for women and men, equal visibility. Can we not push it to the point where men become less visible than women? Can we get this advocacy to a point where there is equal visibility for everyone, irrespective of your gender, irrespective of your age, of your marital status, that everyone is afforded equal opportunities? because yeah, can we try not to get to a point where men become endangered species? Like, yeah, this is very sensitive because, I mean, we have to cater for everyone. We're all part of the society. So we're asking for equal visibility, but we also know that the society is made up of men and women. So we're not asking for special treatment. We're not asking to be favored more, just accord people accord and afford people equal rights. The passion by women, like I want to succeed, that passion needs to be matched to a society which is enabling for me to succeed.
Right.
Okay, so and then that passion, what if it's not there? What if those people don't have that? And this is applicable irrespective of gender. Some men don't have that passion to be high flyers. It's not a lie. Some women will not have that passion to be. What we're saying is for those who are passionate for this, match them to an enabling environment. Don't hinder them. Don't stifle this. Don't suppress their passion, and all. And don't tie it to anything. I mean, if a woman gets to the top of her pin, don't start bringing. So you see some people, oh, but she was married and the husband did this. Well, her professional life is a professional life. Her married life is a married life. Can you just leave her in the society as a human being, as a professional, and leave her to handle what her home and also don't try to tie people's successes with the state of their marital life. It's not your business, okay? These are the things, because you don't do that for men. You see maybe the richest man here or here, you don't ever talk about, you just say, oh, the person has money, he's a billionaire. Nobody mentions, so just leave these people alone, okay? So many things to unpack. And yeah, maybe in 10 years' time, if we're having this podcast again, maybe it will be different, who knows? So
we'll definitely be having this podcast in 10 years' time.
amen.
Yeah, I think I knew this will be an interesting topic because, as you said, it is very sensitive. And
Yeah.
I think people are too sensitive, and that's why I enjoy this podcast. Sometimes you do have to talk about it. You do have to talk about these issues and try to understand where other people are coming from.
Where that person is coming from. Yeah.
Right, so we don't start making decisions out of ignorance or fear. So I think that was very informative. So Dr. Chidinma Okolo, thank you very much. Are you planning on writing any more articles in the Pan-African Review? Maybe we could have you back on.
Yeah, I'm a regular contributor for Pan-African Review.
Yeah, I've seen a couple.
I have some articles that I've even submitted that are even more hotter than this one. There's one that is still in the works. It's I wouldn't say the name, but yeah, I hope to have a podcast about that one.
Yeah, that would be great. Please just let me know, and I'll see you whenever it's out again. So hopefully that's soon.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mahatma.
So have a good weekend and take care.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye, Mahatma.
Cheers.
Thank you very much for sticking with us till the end. Be sure to check out our website at panafricanreview.com, and we will see you guys in the next episode.